Hi guys, I'm making this video because there are some serious accessibility issues in Dead by Daylight. Some are easier fixes than others. So today I'll be talking about the different issues and showing in-game examples I'm talking about. I will also explain some possible ideas that will help. Some might be easier than others. So, we're going to start with talking about my idea as a general idea and explain why for each killer that I mention. My idea is that everyone gets to lock in one original killer that is known to cause accessibility issues, not a licensed one. I want to make sure that's clear. So, how it works when you lock in that killer, it cannot be changed until the next original killer comes out. What it does, if you load in and it's that killer, if you DC, you don't get a penalty. Now, don't freak out about having to play against or with bots. Please understand and listen to the different issues with these killers. I know this may seem like a gut punch idea to hear it, but stay with me and you might understand more. Um, some may not even need to be added to the list of who you can select if some of the ideas from myself and people in the community were implemented. I also think we need an audio slider for killer powers. Like, please. And that also includes the terror radius. Some killers are incredibly loud with their powers. The first, Jason, Doctor are just some, to name a few. It would be an overall massive improvement for the game in general. Having a toggle for the screen effects is another solution that can be a huge step in the right direction towards more accessibility. Before I get into showing the in-game examples, I want to let you know I will be showing Dredge, Doctor, Spirit, Plague, Chucky, Oni, and Clown. Chucky and Oni will be combined with the same idea. If any of those bother you, I will make sure to warn you and tell you to go ahead and skip ahead to the timestamp in the description. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and get started with Plague. Plague is an easy one to explain. We know that emetophobia is an intense, irrational, and persistent fear of vomiting or witnessing vomit. We know it's extremely common. Some people have an issue with the audio, some it's seeing it, and others it's both. Here is where an audio slider can help some, and my DC idea can help the rest. If someone has emetophobia, they will already DC or go next to avoid longer penalties. So DCing without a penalty would actually help people not have to throw to go next because of it. It's time for Doctor. Go ahead and skip to the next section. The timestamp is in the description if you have a problem with Doctor. It's no surprise to anyone how overstimulating Doctor is. His audio is incredibly loud. He has so many things that go on with him between the screaming, the screen effects, the ground effects. It all becomes so much. For me, it's the constant audio spam. It triggers my migraines so bad. I have to turn my audio off or down to just 5 just to play against him. I have a friend that has Tourette syndrome. That makes her tics worse. This is what she told me the issues are for her. As someone with Tourette syndrome, I was struggling more against Doctor than any other killer because of how his power affects my sensory processing. Tourette's syndrome isn't just about motor and vocal tics. Many of us also experience sensory processing issues, including uncomfortable premonitory urges that often build before a tic, as well as hypersensitivity to loud sounds, visual effects, and other forms of overstimulation. The Doctor's constant static shock audio, repeated screams caused by madness, and especially the loud, jarring sound effects and distorted terror radius during Madness 3 create a level of sensory overload that can significantly increase my stress and tic frequency. It turns what should be a tense but enjoyable match into something that is physically difficult for me to play. One accessibility change I would love to see is madness being removed after a survivor is hooked. Being on hook while still affected by the madness means I'm forced to sit through the constant audio effects without being able to do anything to stop them until someone rescues me, if they're even able to. During that time, the overstimulation can continue to build, making the experience increasingly uncomfortable. I think it would be worth exploring additional accessibility options for the doctor's audio overall, whether that's reducing the volume or intensity of the static effects, softening the distorted terror radius during Madness 3, or providing an accessibility setting that lowers the impact of these non-essential audio effects. Changes like these could make the Doctor much more accessible for players with TS and other sensory processing conditions, while preserving the core identity and gameplay of the character. Honestly, I agree with what she says. If you are downed and or hooked while in Tier 3 Madness, I think it should mute that audio. It doesn't change how he works, and it makes it not so triggering for survivors. The audio slider and screen effect toggle could add so much improvement along with muting Tier 3 audio while downed or on a hook. I think that if these things were implemented, he wouldn't have to be added to the list of killers that needed to be added to the accessibility list. Now it's time for my most dreaded one, the Dredge. If you have a problem with darkness, please go ahead and skip to the next timestamp in the description. Dredge isn't one that is an easy fix and would have to be put on the list. Its darkness is a huge issue for me and so many others because of the darkness. Not just how loud it is, which the audio slider would help people who do have that issue, but the change on the map going from light to complete darkness and then back to light, rinse and repeat that cycle for 10-15 minutes, and it's completely awful. There is no filter that can help this issue. You can't fix the darkness without changing how Dredge works. I already have to instantly DC against it. This automatic switch that it does here, on top of how loud the audio is, which, like I said before, the slider could help, but that's not solely the issue that I have with this particular killer. So Dredge would have to be the one that I lock in as my accessibility issue. For this one, I'm starting on the survivor side because it is time for clown. So if you have coulrophobia, please go ahead and skip ahead to the timestamp in the description. For this one, I don't actually need to show the gameplay because it's not the gameplay that's the issue. As you know, one of the most common phobias is coulrophobia. It's an intense, irrational fear of clowns. Sometimes the cosmetic can make a huge difference on if it triggers the phobia or if it makes it worse. But because it's such a common phobia, I think having him on the list seems like a no-brainer. Behavior fixed the visual issues while being intoxicated, which was a huge W, but it's still a clown. So unfortunately, I don't think there is a way to exclude him from the accessibility list. Now we have Spirit. If you have a problem with Spirit, please go ahead and skip to the timestamp in the description below. If you guys are on Twitter, I'm sure you heard all about the amazing Mikey the Potato, who is a deaf Dead by Daylight streamer. He has said how Spirit is an accessibility nightmare for him. I'm going to link the Twitter post where he explains all about the issue, so you can go check it out and see what people with accessibility issues have to deal with daily. I do want to note, though, that the Spirit player did go into his chat and apologized about it because they realized he was, in fact, telling the truth. I still think it is insane how much hate he got for pointing out accessibility issues. Spirit has 0 visual indicator on when she is phasing. It's all about the audio. So as you can imagine, somebody that is deaf or hard of hearing genuinely can't play against her. So to give you an idea, I will turn my audio off and back on so you can see for yourself how much it would help to have something for deaf or hard of hearing players. I'm sure you can tell by now how hard it would be to track Spirit as she is fading, not being able to hear the game, because right now you can't. So my idea would be to have some cherry blossoms go over her body, just light cherry blossoms to go over her body that will indicate that she has started to phase. That way there is a visual indicator when she is doing it. So now I'm going to turn my volume back on. And this way you guys can see how having some cherry blossoms falling around her body really isn't going to make that big of a difference because we can already hear where she is. You can track her, you can look around, you can hear it. All right, now we're going to go to no volume. You have no idea when she is phasing. So having the cherry blossoms fall around her just lightly helps the people that can't hear be able to track her a lot easier. Ultimately, I don't think adding the cherry blossoms falling around her husk will really change anything about the killer. The next 2 killers I'm going to show you are actually super easy to fix. Chucky and Oni. They are honestly super easy to fix, and it's things that could also apply to other killers where there's an audio cue for using their power. For instance, when Chucky does his slice and dice, he raises his knife up and yells. Because of his bugs, his knife doesn't always raise up. Well, yes, they need to fix that bug, among many more. It's still something that you hear when he's on the other side of a rock or on the other side of a wall. You hear that yell. But people that are deaf and hard of hearing don't hear it. So these are my simple solutions. If you add captions, yelling or screaming, it would make a world of difference to deaf and hard of hearing players. Also, while in hidey ho mode, when Chucky gets close to you, he does a little chuckle, little giggle, letting the survivors know he's close. But for deaf and hard of hearing people, they get no warning. So this could be something where the lullaby is implemented to where if he is close, and doing the giggle, then a gentle little lullaby happens, like what happens with Huntress and Trickster and Freddy and Onryo. Just adding that little itty bitty bit of information for the deaf and hard of hearing people, that could change the game for them. Oni is the same thing. When he goes into power, he yells and we can hear it map wide. Same when he gets the last blood orb to get power, we can hear it map wide. If you add a caption like with Chucky that indicates when he gets power, it would make the deaf and hard of hearing survivors be able to have the same information as everyone else in the game. Oni wasn't one to add to the list, but this change is so needed to improve accessibility issues. This is going to give you an example of what you are able to hear from the other side of the map. You'll be able to tell exactly when he gets his power. Mikey suggested that when Oni gets his power, to have a lullaby play, which I think would be amazing. And then when he actually gets his power, to have the text at the bottom of the screen say yell or screaming, something along those lines. Because again, it's not giving them extra info that isn't already out there. When Oni is in power, you can hear basically everything he's doing map wide. But we're doing a whole less is more kind of approach. So when he gets his power, have that lullaby play. When he goes into power is when you can have the caption say yells so that it's easily distinguished on what is happening. And then when he loses his power, which everybody can hear, then it plays the lullaby again, so that way it's informed that he no longer has his power. And I already know what you're thinking. You hear the word captions and think, please, no screen clutter. But there's already a setting to turn it off. So if you don't want it on the screen, you can easily toggle it off with what's currently already in the game. All you have to do is go to accessibility, in-game text, and toggle dialogue subtitles off. So it doesn't add more to your screen. It just helps the people that are deaf and hard of hearing. The next thing I'm going to show you is how it would be incredible if implemented, is that a sound indicator on the screen for Hatch within range of when you can hear it. As you can see in this clip, I already turned the audio off. If I didn't bring the offering, I would have no clue where Hatch was. And I already know there's going to be people that say this gives an unfair advantage. But it would be for both sides. So it would benefit both sides to have some kind of sound indicator on the screen when you are within audio range of the hatch. The current in-game mechanic that we have is a little red semicircle with an arrow on it when a gen pops. And as long as you're not looking directly at the gen, it still shows that audio cue of the direction of where the gen popped. It would not be difficult to take that mechanic and also apply it to the hatch. That is also something that could be toggled off if somebody wanted it to be. There's another point that Mikey had mentioned about visual cues for skill checks. We get audio cues before the skill check actually pops up, unless, of course, Huntress Lullaby was brought. So having something on the screen, a little indicator that a skill check is coming, would greatly improve the accessibility in this game. Mikey mentioned using the lullaby haze more often. I honestly think it would be amazing for certain powers that people can hear, so it wouldn't be an unfair advantage. Demo goes into a portal, a lullaby haze pops up. When that audio plays, lullaby haze or some kind of indicator that informs players if Dredge TPs to a locker near you that other people can hear. Little things like that, I feel like, can make all the difference in this game. We have the tool. So if it can be used more for the accessibility it was designed to do, I feel like it would be so much better. Well, let me know what you guys think of it and if there's any ideas you might have. Please no hate to the people about this. Accessibility being a hot take shouldn't be a thing. Having options will help the game grow more, and the game will stay around longer. Most games, large and small, have so many accessibility features. And if you look at it from this scale, you can really see how behind DBD is. Also, please show Mikey some love. Link to his Twitch will be in the description. Without him, this video wouldn't have been possible. But for now, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.